or engineer,
Designer, yeah.
designer and engineer, we'll call it. What lessons can we pick from you? Why are you studying the course? That's number one. Two, what problems do you want to solve in the textile industry, and who do you want to work with? You also said you're in photography. Can you just run us through very quickly what you want to do and what are you doing in Uganda at the moment?
Okay. So actually, I'm just graduated from my school in Paris, called École du Perret. And I'm a photographer, and I also like the point of what I do is I'm taking photo, and after once I have my photo, I print them on like different materials.
Okay.
And I met Stella.
Okay.
And she had this project with the bar clothes, so I started to print my photo on bar clothes. And at this moment, there were like new materials happening, like this bar clothes with a printed image. And the way I printed it was with a laser engraving. So it's like a burning laser that burns the photo through on the material.
Wow.
Yeah. And
that would be very interesting for Musta's grandmother who's a Muganda.
I know how you're tampering.
Backcloth. Yes, backcloth, yes. Continue,
yeah, and so from that, we started to collaborate to make a dress.
Yeah.
Where like Stella do the style.
Yeah.
And I do the print.
Okay.
And so I'm putting myself in like, I'm doing photography, I'm doing printing, and also I'm working with like other creative. And for example, on this project with Stella, I'm the textile engineer, but actually I do like different stuff, I would say. And from this dress, we thought that it was interesting to connect like, so my photo, I'm taking like landscape, nature photos in France, and we printed on the bar clothes. And for example, there is tree on the photo, and that makes connection with the bar clothes that come from trees. And because the photo like come from France, we thought it was interesting to make this like connection between like the French landscape and nature to the bar clothes that represent actually,
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Have you seen the king already? He just had his 28th coronation. Backcloth is traditional thing that come from Buganda. So it would be nice to hear what the Buganda Kingdom will say about this project in this cultural collaboration.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. Have you, Stella?
Not yet, but I would love, if I get access, would love to go and meet him and present our project. But actually, when we got into the country, our host was the MP in Fort Portal and Ministry of Tourism. And it's part of Uganda, where they also do backcloth. So because it was our host place, so we decided to do that documentary there because we didn't have access to places in Buganda where we're supposed to initially do it from. So I would love to meet the king as well.
Okay.
I will meet.
Yes. For sure. I mean, from the studio where you are right now, the second deputy category of Buganda is not sitting very far away. Yes, so it might be very easy for you to make that connection quite fast. But yeah, Stella, the question that we want to wind up with today, I mean, you now live in France. You are a fashion designer and a styler at the same time, as well as the visual artist. I mean, what lessons can we pick from France, from you, that can share with Musta right now, who is seated next to you, so that we can make this creative space that we have in Uganda more attractive? And how do we bring all these other people we're talking about in? Do you have some, nuggets of truth or ideas that you can share as we wind up the show?
I think the most important thing I've learned, and I think would work really well with us, is the collaboration. We could have this space, and it's not like everyone has to come there and share the knowledge. But then you could have like sessions, so like Zoom sessions, whereby you interact with everyone, all the creatives around the world. You invite people, like today we're going to talk about this. So all the people who are interested in that topic would be online. Some are physically in the room, some are around. So you share this global thinking. And then also it helps us like to have workshops. It would be very easy for me to organize like a group of creatives, maybe musicians, writers, to say, okay, now let's go and visit Uganda. let's go and do a collaboration in Uganda with other creatives. And when we get to Uganda, we know we are straight going into this home. It's not the things of gambling. Now we call this one, when I left France, the phone was on. When I get here, the phones are not being answered. And I think that is going to make us look professional in what we are doing. And it will give opportunities for the young ones, even like those in school, who even fear. Sometimes someone would fear when they hear like Abdal. They say, no, that is a big person. Can't even, how do you even approach him?
That's
so it's this fear.
That's
But then if you find yourself in the same space, then that fear gets away. And then you're able to ask guidance from that person you think is very superior to you. For me, I think collaboration is the main thing we should focus on.
And creative network.
Collective creativity.
Okay. Wow. Well, thank you very much, guys, for coming to the show today. I want to just give you a parting shots. Starting with you, Robin. Is this your first time in Uganda?
Yeah.
In Africa.
In Africa.
In Africa.
Yeah.
In Africa as a continent.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And you are landed to the Pearl of Africa.
Yeah.
Straight up.
And I went
Yes,
to the
straight
Pearl of Uganda. So I'm at the Pearl.
Wow. Wow.
Yes.
But thank you for coming to the Pearl of Pearls and Pearls of of Africa. Your one parting shot, what is that one best thing that you have so far seen from Uganda that when you go back to France, you will tell every student,
Whoa.
and everyone in France to say, this is it, let's go to Uganda and do this?
I felt that everywhere I've been, people were really open about showing me like their culture and like, I don't know, inviting me. Even here, like I'm so grateful for being here. Like I met, as Stella said, like the Minister of Tourism, of Culture, and that's something that really surprised me, kind of, because everybody was really open to communicate with me and show me how their world. Like I would say.
So you think when you go back to France, you will bring the whole collaboration down to Uganda here?
What you mean?
When you go back to France, are you going to bring all your friends who are into the creative space and the creative thinking, the creative industry to Uganda?
I mean, if they want to go, I'd be like, yeah, you should go. After, I don't know if I'm going to pay for their tickets to go, you know.
No, I'm sure Alliance Française could make a very good contribution to those students to come and learn from here, like most have said. If we have those collaborations going on, that would be good. But thank you very much for coming to the program. And
Thank
Stella, what would be your parting shot today?
I think this time around I've come to Uganda, leave alone the lockdown. I think there is a lot of creativity coming up, more than before. Things are moving at the fast, very fast, and I'm so grateful. People, they were not sleeping during the lockdown. Yes, and I can't see post-COVID what it's going to be like when everything is open. The musicians are allowed to sing. Everyone is free to do whatever they're doing because there is a law that is being prepared for the after the post-COVID.
Okay. And Musta, what's your parting shot from today?
My parting shot today. Just like musicians are receiving help from the government.
Did you see that list of only 17? The Uganda Music Stars Association of only, and I saw the figures there. Yes.
So ideally, I'm thinking and suggesting that if an endorsement can also come up to this particular side of the creative industry, that would be awesome. Anything to keep people's heads up, especially during this time, people are frustrated. Others are, so anything to keep their spirits up there so they can still have those great concepts running through their minds, or even coming down to note them because they're sure that I have a meal today or tomorrow, things like that. So maybe they should think of how they can come in as well and give a hand.
Wow.
That's my parting shot.
Wow. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for being part of the creative industry of growing bigger and better. Musta here, given you that one parting shot that if you could just share the invoices with everybody and reach out to everyone and make everyone feel happy. And of course, until next week, we want to say thank you very much to Musta, and thank you very much to Faizo Chiwewa, Lunkulu, and Stella Tal, and of course Noah for coming into the program today. And we're wishing you the very best of your program.
Thank you.
Of your project going forward. And to all of you guys, today we're not going to read your comments, but we want you to keep it coming. We will be able to read the comment next week. And if you have an idea for Faizo Chiwewa and Lunkulu, please share it. If you have an idea for Musta, please share it. If you have an idea for Stella Tal, share it. And of course, my sister from another mother right here, Noah Robin. If you have an idea, please share it. And she's open for collaborations. To all of us here, to the camera crew, thank you very much. To the sound guy, thank you very much. We're going to buy for you Malakwang, okay, today. And of course, to all of you guys out there, keep creating and keep doing like Stella says. Until next time, we'll be right back here. This is a space for us to talk and talk and talk creativity until the chicken cross the road and go home. Every time you wake up in the morning, you want to find some inspiration. And there is life that you need to know what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and who to lead you to where you want to go. And of course, on the CEO Bench, we try to bring you those people who are doing it, those people who are going places, those who have started from somewhere and are somewhere and are going somewhere. The CEO Bench this week focuses on a lady who started a journey all the way from Naguru. In fact, the journey starts from the western part, the West Nile part of Uganda, straight to Naguru, and from Naguru to Entebbe, and now to the rest of the world, turning the wasted materials into something that you can carry and go with. What a story and what a journey. My guest this morning on the CEO Bench is the one and only Faith Aweko. Welcome to the show, Faith.
Thank you so much.
How are you today?
I'm very fine.
Good. So somebody sent me a comment and says, I want to see that lady on the show. On Facebook, she looks so aggressive and she looks too serious and she's so loud. I want to see, is she big? Is she small? Is she, she masculine? Is she feminist? But you're here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And we want to dive straight to the show today, Faith. You're on the CEO Bench. The CEO Bench exists to give a platform and a space for people to express themselves. We're looking at people who are doing something, people who are on a leadership journey, people who have done it, people who are either going to the top or already on the top and coming down, And we want to share that story with as many people as possible to give them inspiration. We want them to be inspired, encourage and transform. And that's the journey of leadership, change management, and transformation. So on the show today, you have been overwhelmingly nominated to come onto the show. We are not going to talk much about the health and fitness, although we'll get there. Some people said you need to bring that lady onto the show, and others says, no, we want to know the story of how she's able to turn around her life to where we are right now. So the first question, we need to get to know you, Faith. Who is Faith Aweko?
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Faith Aweko. I am the founder and CEO of Reform Africa, a social business here in Uganda that upcycles plastic polythene waste bags, known as the Kaveras, into sustainable, durable, and waterproof bags and accessories. So we utilize plastic waste as a resource to come up with the different patterns and different designs of the bags.
Wow. And Faith, are you Ugandan?
Of course, yes. So I'm Analur by tribe from Nebi, that's West Nile.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And if yes, what are the values that define you as a Ugandan?
I think being born in Uganda, that is what makes me a Ugandan.
Okay.
Yes.
And what about the values that define you as a Ugandan? Do you have values? What are the values that define you as a Ugandan?
I think looking at how we are as Ugandans, we are more of like friendly people. I would say that, because if we receive tourists who come to Uganda, most of them say Uganda is one of the lovely country, because straight from the airport, people are already saying hi to you. So that also defines me as a person. I'm also very friendly with people. Yes.
Okay. Faith, I want to take a moment to just take us through your life. You know, the journey of Faith Aweko from Nebbi to Kampala. Nebbi is found, for some of you who are watching the CEO Bench from all across the world, it's you know, the West Nile part of Uganda, found in the western part of Uganda. It's about 400 kilometers from the capital city of Kampala, not so, towards Arua, and going straight to the border of South Sudan, and then, you know, you exit and go to many places. And that's where Faith comes from. So, yes. The journey of Faith Aweko from Nebbi, crossing that Nile, eating the fish, you know, coming to Kampala and to Naguru.
Okay.
Let's have the chat here and we'll talk about it. Yes.
So I wasn't actually born in Nebbi. Yes. Very unfortunate.
Yeah.
I was born in Naguru, Kampala. So usually, most times, like from primary 1, 2, 3 up to 7, we used to go to the village almost like every December. So I was born in Naguru Go Down, one of the really highly polluted areas in Uganda. But growing up, I grew up in an extended family. My parents loved a lot to have relatives at home, so we grew up a big family. So I grew up from Naguru Go Down, went to Naguru Katali Primary School, then moved on to City High for my senior 1 and senior 2. My dad values a lot of education, and he tries so much for us to, he tried a lot for us to really have a decent and good education. So he pushed us to go to Kyambogo College. So yeah, so I went to Kyambogo College from my senior 3 to senior 5, then joined Kyambogo University.
Okay, so it is okay for us to say this is the bad girl from Naguru. You know, we have a bad man from Kamuta. So you are the bad girl from Naguru, so to speak. All right, and let's talk about your life in Naguru. Naguru is a suburb of Kampala, and you know, it's a contrast of the epitome of class within the city of Kampala, in that hill. And when you come down to where you say you grew up from, it's a different contrast altogether. It means that the rich people who live on the top of the hill can release whatever waste they release from up there and ends up down here. And let's talk about the experience of growing up in that area and, you know, staying in an extended family as a young girl. How was that going for you? How was it generally?
So as a kid, you don't really get to think much because you know, you just have food, you have families, you have friends, and you have the community. So there is really not much that you think of. So growing up, I also realized that there's a lot of flooding in the areas that I think it was around senior P5, P6 there, when really every time it would rain, we would spend time in the nights draining water out of our houses because of the flooding. And also, if it's like morning, going to school was hard. So I thought, okay, maybe it's because we are staying in the slum. That was now in P7. But when I was in senior 4, I realized, you know, this is because of the actually poor waste management in the area. Because my home and the neighborhood, when it rains, is when we think of disposing of waste. But also in Uganda generally, organic and inorganic waste is mixed together. Yeah. And most times the organic waste is heavier, so it is even hard because KCCA could tell people to bring waste at the marketplaces. Yeah. So carrying all that waste was hard. So every home keeps the waste at the backyard, and then when it rains, you know, the kids run and pour it in the trenches. Yeah. So that was also something fun to do as a kid. Yeah. Because it's raining, yeah, and that is what most people think of, you know. Go and pick rubbish. That is what people say. Yeah. So
which basically mean go and pick the kasasiro and throw it so that rain can wash it away.
Yes.
Typical.
Yes.
You know, yes. Yeah.
That was what we thought. But also, aside from that, I was an active kid. From as a young kid, I really loved a lot of sports, and I also loved art, design. But when I joined secondary, it was a challenge. Like I said, my dad values education, so he only wanted us to concentrate on school. You know, school, there's nothing like taking part in MDD or in sports, because he thought that was taking away your time for reading books. But regardless, I would participate. I have a number of certificates that I would win. But during holidays, that means I would not take part in activities. So I only had to wait until school is there. Time, yeah. Yes, so when I was in my senior 3, when we were choosing subjects to do, I still chose art. And yeah, so I chose art, and I passed highly with a distinction in my UNEB. But senior 5, I opted for mathematics, economics, geography, and art. So
you went back where your dad wanted you to be?
No. So when you realize I was doing art, he's like, no, there's no way I'm going to pay
the school fees.
Yes, if you're doing art, like art has no weight. So he told me to change. Wow. So I had to change to entrepreneurship. So I did MEG, and I'm like, okay, maybe at university I'll do art. So I realized at the university you have to have done art in your A level to pursue art. So I went in for statistics.
Wow.
So I did statistics until my 3rd year, and then I went, so during 3rd year, we had to go for internship. But also to take you back, during my senior 6 holidays, me and my sister decided maybe we would start doing jewelry and some fashion, because it's something that I wanted. So I began recycling jewelry from anything that I really find around. So I made necklaces, earrings. I used to go to Owino, buy t-shirts, jumpers, punch them with chitenji like that and sell. So when I joined the university, I was doing it alongside
the
school. Yeah. So I got my internship in Gulu at the local government. So that is when things really changed. I felt like I had moved away from something that I really passionately loved, because there I was just working. While doing data entry. And then, you know, I think it was just 2 or 3 weeks. I just told my sister, I don't think I am going to continue with this. I don't think I am going to continue with the internship, or I don't think this is something that I really want to do. Wow. She's like, wow, that is tough. So, yes, so...
And I just want to break that, you know, just interject a bit. So when that was going on, what was the relationship like between you and your dad? Because it is evident that your father wanted you to be something else and you wanted to be something else, so there's a conflict in there. Were you talking, were you resolving these things? You know, what was going on?
No. So my dad also is not a kind of person that, you know, you can get to sit. We grew up fearing him a lot. So most times he would do... You would know, for as long as you're in school, or for as long as you've gone to church, for as long as you're at home, you know, he's good. He's also naturally a quiet person. You find him at home reading the Bible, you know, he doesn't want noise. So if there's any slight noise, you're dead. So most times there was that distance. There was that distance. So when I was, so when I told my elder sister that I'm going to drop out, she's like, you're dead. Yes. So so I come back at home. And I tell them I'm done with my internship. They're like, wow, that was quick. So my supervisor came, and it's done. I didn't tell him that I dropped out, and I'm also not going to continue with the remaining semester. So so after that, I continued doing my jewelry business, knowing that in my head, I'm not going to graduate anyways.
Yeah.
So, so towards, I think, 2 months to the graduation, I called my sister, you know. I'm staying at home with my dad, but I called my sister who is in Gulu. You know what? You tell dad,
Yes.
I am not going to graduate.
Yes.
So, so he's aware. So she tells him, so ask her, did you tell him?
Yeah.
Then she says, yes. I told her, but he's not saying anything to me at all.
Yeah.
He's like, okay.
He's quiet. And you're not yet dead, meanwhile, eh?
No.
You're not yet dead.
Not yet. So every day I was anxious,
Yeah.
you know,
Waiting.
maybe he's going to slap him, maybe he's going to do anything.
Yes.
But I tried so much to avoid him.
Yeah.
If I'm like moving out, or if I hear he's moving out, you know, I get back to the bedroom, wait for him to move out. Then I also do the same. But having dinner like together as a family, he didn't say anything. So one day he wakes up furious and he's like, you know, I'm a disappointment. I dropped out of the university and look at what I'm doing and all those things. It's useless things. So so he told me I need to, you know, I need to either go back to the university and finish school. But him telling me to go back to the university and finish school, he told my sister to tell me so, because also me at home, I'm also a quiet person. Yeah. So my sister told me, he said you should go back to school. So I told her, that is not possible. That is not something that I really want to do. So yeah, so we kept on having that conversation. He calls my sister calls me, you know.
But
like
you're
that.
home and
yes,
with him.
I'm home with him. Because I call her.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, that is still the same now. You know, sometimes I call my sister, it's like call Faith, and then I call him instead. So these days I don't call my sister, but I call him instead. And so after that, so when it was a challenge, he said he didn't want to be with school dropouts. Yeah. So I should leave. So
how old were you at that point?
How old was I?
Yeah.
Do I remember the age?
Third year must be about.
But that was in 2016.
Yeah.
It was in 2016. I 1890. I think I was 21.
Yeah, it must be about 21, 22 because you're about getting out of school, university. Yes.
So I move out. I continue with what I'm doing with the jewelry and recycling, and it was working out well. And then a friend sent me a message and said maybe I should learn more knowledge about entrepreneurship, so I can push my business to a bigger business. So yeah, so that's how in 2017, I joined the Social Innovation Academy.
And that's how the story of
this
entire Transform Africa started. Faith, I want you to hold it right there. We're going to take a coffee break. This is the CEO Bench. We're talking to the newest CEO, voted, even with the vote from the International Monetary Fund, IMF, somebody sent 2 nominations from there. We don't know why. And many people on Facebook. So if you voted Faith Aweko, we want to hear from you. What are the comments, kisses and disses? Is she doing a good job? You wanted to know the story. The CEO Bench exists to bring you this kind of stories so that you can learn a thing or two about the person and also how you can change your life going forward. We're going to go for a break, and when we come back, the interview with Faith Aweko will continue after this break.
My name is Dr. Jinpo Olowo. Thank you for watching House of Talent Television. I love to inspire people. I love to talk about my experiences and how God has been able to use me in the different exposures. And through the leadership, through change management and transformation, I've been able to do a couple of things in my life. Now, are you a kind of person who is tired of your status quo? Do you want your situation to change? Are you tired of what is going on in your life? You know, change is a fact of life. We've all been through experiences in the last couple of months that have taken us to a place where we need to do something about our lives. We need to change whatever is going on. So if you have not piled up investment for yourself, you need to do that. If you've not done businesses to hold your family in future, you need to do that. Are you thinking of full-time employment? You need to be thinking about your life after employment or your business in the next couple of years. So if you want us to chat, if you want us to talk about this, please get in touch with us at SEAL Uganda on number 0772443085, or check our website www.sealuganda.com, or on all the social media handles. You can hook me up or Facebook, that is Jean-Paul Olowo, on Instagram, Jean-Paul Olowo, and on Twitter and LinkedIn. Then we can chat a way forward with you. We can help you, we can coach you, we can walk with you this journey of financial freedom. Thank you.
Welcome back from the break. This is the CEO Bench. My name is Eddie Okila, and my guest this morning in the studio is Faith Aweko, who is the founder and the CEO of Transform Africa?
Reform Africa.
Reform Africa. Reform Africa. And Faith, let's pick it up from where we were. You were telling us about the personal journey of growing up in the Kampala suburb and the foray into, Reform Africa. Mm. So you have communicated to your father, and the communication bit and the dynamics are very interesting of how you guys were communicating to your sister, to this and that. So let me ask you a question. That's pretty much about your growing up. And but I want to know from you, Faith, growing up, what did you ever want to be in life? I'll take you back a little bit.
Okay.
As a child. Yeah.
So growing up, I've always wanted to be a fashion designer. Yes. And
are you one now?
Yes.
So let's talk about what excites you as Faith Aweko into this journey where you are right now.
Okay, so what excites me is actually the moment I began doing social entrepreneurship, because that is something that I did not know about, is the moment I realized fulfillment in life, because knowing that the livelihood mostly of the people you work with, because we work with women in the communities who collect plastics, who sort, wash, and also we work with marginalized youths who we employ as tailors. So knowing that the livelihood of them depends entirely on you or on Reform Africa, that is where, that is what really gives me fulfillment.
Yes. And Faith, talking of that, while we're still in the personal questions of it, by the way, I just want to ask you a question about 2021. What is the best thing so far that's happened to you in 2021?
So in 2021, there are two things that happened to me. Focusing more on knowing myself, personal growth, and also really focusing on my fitness journey. I began it late last year, but this year, in January, I set up my fitness goals and realized I have to read a lot about fitness to better my knowledge. So I'm able to really transform into the person that I want to be.
Okay. And that said, most important thing that the people who nominated you would want to know is, you know, before I take you to the leadership journey, is the story of where you ended up joining the, you know, the social entrepreneurship class and stuff like that, and not going back to university. If you pick it up from there, what was the experience like when your father finally said, okay, I think I need to give up on this one, and then you ended up doing this other course where you went for? What was the experience like, and what did your father say to you?
So when I joined the Social Innovation Academy, I actually did not tell anyone except my siblings. I told them about what I'm doing currently with recycling, and how I've moved away from just making jewelry to now recycling plastic polythene. So they did not understand until I sent them samples, and they were excited. So after a while, I thought probably I would go home and show my dad what I do. But it wasn't a positive experience from him, because he really still, you know, even after that, he told my sister, do you think she still has a chance to go back to school? Like, yes. So I thought maybe I disappointed him, but by then also I was still starting up the company. But I had hopes that it will be great. So I remember the first flight I took to represent from Africa. I did not tell them, because I thought anyway, you know, but my stepmom was very furious. You know, she was angry. She's like, how would you not tell us?
So that we can come to the airport and
how would you not tell us?
To the airport to see you go, because
how would you not tell us? So I told her I thought probably you guys were not happy with what I do. And then she told me, you know, I'll always support you in any way. So there was also a time that my dad came to actually see what we do. Yes, he came with my sister, and he was very impressed. And also, when they get to see me on TV, on the newspaper, you know, they're the first people who call me that we saw you on the newspaper. Or if I tell them the show is on TV, they keep calling me, what time is it again? We cannot see it, what time is it? So that really says that they are getting to understand what I do, but with also being able to help them financially, because at first my dad thought, you know, this is just a small business that you would not be able to earn enough income, a living. So being able to see that I am sustaining myself, and I'm also able to sustain them as a family. So yeah, but still in his head, he still wants me to have a formal kind of education. Yes.
Wow. So let me just take you back, Faith. I think this is a very interesting, you know, moment we're having on the CEO Bench today. And of course, I want to talk to all of you guys who are watching the CEO Bench from all across the world. I think this is a very fascinating story, personal journey so far being told by the person walking the journey, Faith Aweko, who is the founder and the CEO of Reform Africa, a recycling bags from the waste materials, things we throw away. And I think, let me tell you, Faith will be given an award for helping Kampala, because we really have quite a number of those in the city of Kampala. So we want to hear from you. If you have a comment, drop it up there, and we'll definitely be able to read it. And Faith, I'm very much interested in taking you back before we go into the leadership part of the show. Your dad told you to, you know, get out of the home, and you go. So, I mean, how were you able to move out, and how long were you out of home without talking? We hear this story a lot from different people, and sometimes we don't understand how to go about it, and the reconciliation part of it, which we're definitely going to go into, the leadership, change management and transformation, and how you're able to lead yourself out of that, and the things that happen. But I want to know specifically, and of course to all our viewers all across the world, I mean, somebody could be going through the same thing and they don't know how to go about it. And perhaps their self-esteem is being put down very much, because the world says you must have a formal education, you don't have a formal education, but formal education often tends to kill creativity. And when a creative person is boxed, like in your case, you are able to get out, but there are people who are not able to get out of that situation. So I want to know this experience, you know, that managing the relationship between your father, going out, home, what were you doing, where did you get the money, what happened?
So it wasn't actually an easy experience. Because my dad is also a kind of person who tells you, you know, I need you to leave home abruptly. There's no plan, and he can give you either a week or even a few days to just leave.
Wow.
So I realized once you also immerse in the pain, you would be miserable. So I realized that is something that has happened, so I have to move on. I had a few savings, but my siblings, my elder sister was there for me because I didn't have anything. So she sent me saucepans, she sent me a mattress, she sent me a blanket, she sent me almost everything I needed to start. And then she also gave me some money. And my brothers also did the same, and I also had my savings. So once I was able to pay for 3 months rent, so from day one, I started to work hard to really be able to, if it's like the 4th month, I have already the money for the rent.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's not very easy for girls, and I'm sure there's a girl outside there. I mean, such situations are usually for boys. We're good. We can go out, we can bustle thing up, and do whatever we want to do. Boys are usually, but for girls, they're not quite a very easy journey.
Yeah.
So if you would just dive into it. As a girl, how did that make you feel?
So I had, I was renting next to my friend, so I had friends around who I would talk to, who would be there for me. But also I just realized, you know, I have to focus my life, I have to focus on business. So I was very, I think that is also how my Facebook grew, because I tried as much as possible to sell things on, because I was only selling actually on Facebook, to sell my products on Facebook. So being busy also kept me going to not really get to think a lot. But I'd also kind of like, after my sister sent me things, I also kind of cut off, you know, family and communication. So I just, yes, because most times my sister's like, are you fine? Do you have money? So that was making me miserable most of the time. So I just cut communication and I just focus on working, because that is what kept me going.
Wow. Well, you're hearing the story coming from Faith Aweko right there, the story of personal resilience, if we would say it, and you know, persistence and consistency in the process to be able to build, you know, reform Africa. We're going to take another break, and when we come back, Faith and I are going to dive straight into leadership. Leadership is what everyone needs to go. And before you know it, if you don't have leadership, you're dead. If you have leadership, you succeed. We want to know from there whether Faith was being a leader, self-leadership, what are the tricks and intricate, you know, stuff like that that she was able to go through to get her to where she is, and to get her to where she had to, you know, sort of like move out from that situation going forward. And this is what the CEO Bench is here for. Stay right there. We'll be right back after the break.
There's a lot that is involved in the civil society organizations. There's leadership in itself, there's management of processes, there's management of the human resource, there's fundraising, there's, you know, research. It's a lot that needs to be done. And many times there is a feeling that that is too much for a woman, because she has other traditional roles that she needs to do as at home. So many times as people are looking for leaders in civil society organizations, the priority is usually given to men, because of our society that feels that men have the time, men have the capacity, men have the ability to lead, to take this organization to greater heights. And women, there will be a problem. They will have to go to maternity leave. They have issues. They are too emotional. They have not done the courses that are good enough for leaders. They don't have time to, you know, to go for extra, you know, learning, or to go for work outside Kampala, because they have to tend to their children. So there's too much that society has tied around a woman. And it's true, we have these traditional roles that we have to do, but does not in any way mean that women cannot lead in these spaces.
Welcome back. This is the CEO Bench. My name is Eddie Okela. In the studio is Faith Aweko, a lady who sprang out of Naguru to the rest of the world, recycling, waste, solid waste, not solid waste, plastic waste, and what we called Kavera in Uganda, and making very beautiful stuff out of it, and selling us for use to make our livelihood really better. Faith, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Let's go straight to the leadership journey. Leadership requires that the person is aware of who they are. And self-leadership is key to come out from the situation where you are, where you're trying to say, Dad, I want to do this, and Dad is saying, no, daughter, I want to do this, and there's a crossroad. And we want to know from that point of view. Of course, self-leadership, we can see that you are doing a great thing by leading yourself, and you're pointing yourself and giving yourself meaning. I want to ask you a very simple question here on leadership. On the leadership, what is your understanding of leadership and the definition of leadership by Faith Aweko?
Okay, so leadership to me is being able to lead a group of people from one place to another, mostly like for me to make sure people are better versions of themselves from the time that I've met them and throughout the time that they are with me until the time that they are out of my reach.
Okay. On that note, Faith, who is a leader to you? Are you one? And if yes, what type of leader are you, given your journey? So
I am a leader because I lead a group of about 20 people. I'm one of like a coach kind of leader because I try as much as possible to see that people learn their potentials and they be the best versions of themselves, because sometimes we get women who you see potential in them, or also women who come like they really want to work as tailors, but then you realize they would actually be better in this kind of field or in fusing the plastics. Yeah. Also, we find people who have no skill at all, but they come, hey, I want to wash plastics, but you tell them it will actually be better if you come and learn this kind of skill. And from there and then, we find that most people who are fusing our plastic bags also learn to tailor, and then now they are supervising other women. So that is the kind of leadership that that I portray, so that people can move from from the level they are to become better and better in what they do, or even get to do more. Okay, so as a leadership coach, by definition, you are actually a transformative leader. A transformative leader is one who, sees what it shall be like and works up to what is that needs to be done to get there. But also, transformative leadership approach focuses first on the human being as a person, which we can see in you, and then with the view of turning followers into leaders, and of course impacting their lives and making sure that they actually have something meaningful. So that's very good. So you're a transformative leader by nature, from what we see. That's a good one. So Faith, on that note, what is your understanding of leadership at the personal level, and of course at the family level, given the situation you've gone through with your dad and your family, at the society level, and of course as a corporation? Now you're building a corporation, you're building an organization that is reaching out to many people. Is already 20 people you're employing, meaning that those 20 people have got people who depend on them. So when we multiply the 20 people individually, the chain are reaching far more people than the 20 that you have at the moment. But we want to understand from you, what is your understanding of leadership? Personal leadership, self-leadership, family leadership, society leadership, and of course, the organization. Okay, so for me, it's thinking now less of yourself and thinking more of others, to grow them, but also know that the decisions that we make don't only affect me as a person, but they're going to affect the organization as a whole. And also putting in accountability for every action that we make. It's going to affect me, yes, but it's also going to affect generally the company, like for example, Reform Africa. So if there is any decision that I'm making, it doesn't have to be based on individual interests, but it has to be made based on my co-founders, based on our workers, based on their children. Like for example, if you are going to lay off some workers because of COVID, you know, do we just think of laying off the workers, or do we also think of their families, or their children who have been dependent, you know, on their mother, like for the financial support in the family? Yes.
Wow. Well, we want to know from you, Faith, and of course not just you, Faith, but also everyone who is online. I mean, you've had Faith Aweko. I mean, that last part of the leadership question actually just blows somebody up. And there are 5 different types of leadership approaches that we have in the world. And I want you to vote for Faith Aweko right now and tell us which one is she using best and why, given her explanation on this part of the leadership approach and the leadership question. 1, there's what we called, you know, autocratic leadership approach. Is she an autocratic leadership approach? Do we understand what autocratic leadership approach is? And number 2 would be a transactional leader or a transactional leadership approach. Okay? Is Faith Aweko a transactional leadership approach? Is she, you know, a autocratic? And number 3 would be a democratic leader or leadership approach. Is she democratic? Is she applying the same approach to her leadership skills? And number 4 would be what we call a charismatic leader. Charismatic leader. Is she a charismatic leader? And if yes, does she use the, you know, the charismatic leadership approach in her day-to-day running of the business or leading herself? And number 5 would be transformative leadership approach. Is she a transformative leadership approach? Is that your view of her? We want to know from you. Please write us the comment down there, and of course make sure that we'll get back to you. I want to also inform all of you that the CEO Bench is doing a very special thing for the first time to Faith Aweko. That this particular interview is actually streaming on our own pages. 1, on our Facebook page. She's live on our Facebook page, courtesy of House of Talent, and of course streaming on the Reform Africa page. So please go there, share far and wide, and support the girl child, as we always say it. I know all the the women, all the people who support the women, the girls' rights are going to come and, you know, and say, you saw what they're doing when Kadaga was standing. Yes. So, but Faith, let's go back to the change management as part of our show. I'll ask you a question before we take another coffee break, just to go through this. So the CEO Bench is about leadership, change management, and transformation. Now, you had a journey before getting to where you are right now, and that journey requires you to go through as a child, you know, go through school, understanding yourself. Like you said, when we were young, there was mwala, you know, how do you call it? That's what they call it. That waste stuff in the trenches everywhere, water would flood, come, you will clean. As a child, you didn't understand. But when you reach a certain point, you began to understand what it was. Now, senior 4, you said, I started to see that actually there's a problem here. We're just not being organized. KCCA say, we take this, for us, we wait for it when the rain comes. And then later on, when you get to university, says, you know what? I'm certainly not going to do statistics and finish. Whoever wants to drop out of a statistics